he's got a rude awakening when he goes to federal prison. Guys get stabbed in the rec yard. Guys get hit with locks. There's fights. Like, I've never seen so many fights. On a scale from 1 to 10 of masculinity, he's not going to do it. Like, guys are going to be coming up to him.
Sam is a 1 in the real world.
I know.
So he's like the nerdiest guy I've ever met.
And as far as rape is concerned, and they have a name for him, right? Like, they're called like booty bandits.
Is Sam going to have to join a gang?
He is a damaged, like, if I'm a damaged soul, he's definitely, or he's gonna do some really, really hard time.
This week, I got to speak with Matthew Cox, a former con man who served 13 years in federal prison for a variety of bank fraud related charges. Matt was initially meant to interview me, but I ended up kind of interviewing him because I was very curious as to how Sam Bankman-Fried would fare in prison.
He's got a rude awakening when he goes to federal prison. Well, he's locked up right now anyway.
True. He's at MDC.
Obviously there is no internet. There's no, like, he's already got major problems, I'm sure.
Is there any, like, sort of where you have some basic access to, like, a couple websites, or is it just you don't get to touch a computer?
Well, no, he's not touching a computer. Not locked up in that. Like, right now, he's found guilty. So right now, I think he might be in the BOP's custody. He doesn't move, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's still probably sitting in the same cell, and somebody just said, okay, he's no longer in the U.S. Marshals holdover. He's now in the BOP's custody.
Oh.
So, and you get different privileges, but I doubt any of that's going to change for him. So, okay. But when you're actually in a prison, you have access to a computer, but it's only for the purposes of downloading music.
Oh.
And what else? Being able to monitor your commissary account, monitor how many true links, which are minutes, right, on your phone that you can use. You get roughly about 300 minutes a month. So that's about 10 minutes a day you can use. You can only use the phone for 15 minutes anyway. And then you get to use
so do you mean, like, to make phone calls, he can only use the phone for 15 minutes at a time?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So if he were to call 4 people a day for 15 minutes, he could maybe go 5 days. Wow. And then he'd just be out. You're not calling anyone. You can email people through the CoreLinks system, right? I think their site is called TrueLinks, or out here, I think it's called CoreLinks. So they can email you, but it's like they email you to the website. And then I have to, out here, go to the website to read their email. It's like checking in. You're going to a separate website. They're not emailing you. You can get a notification. They'll say, hey, if you go to the CoreLinks website, there's an email.
Right.
And he can email me. And the emails take about 45 minutes to an hour to go back and forth.
Is there someone monitoring every email back and forth? Is that what it is?
So, I can't imagine that everybody's is being monitored, but they do run it through some kind of some kind of software to determine, like if you're saying the word terrorist or bomb or gun or escape or something.
Right.
And they take stuff like that very seriously. I mean, there was a guy in prison who got like 3 years. He's at a low. He's at the low, calls his dad, and his family owned a large construction company, which is how he got in trouble. Mm-hmm. And he got, like, whatever it was, 3 or 4 years. I forget exactly what it was. But he calls his dad after a couple of days, says, hey, I'm here. And he was like, oh, okay. How you doing? You doing okay? Yeah. And he goes, yeah. He said, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. And the guy said, hey, how big's the rec yard out there? Oh, it's pretty big. He said, yeah. He said, because I was thinking about taking the helicopter over there. He's like, I can land in the helicopter, pick you up. We can go out for lunch. Like, he's joking around, right? And they're laughing about it. The guy, within a few hours, he was locked up, thrown into the shoe, and transferred to a medium or a pin, and stayed there the whole time. And even though it was clear that it was a joke, it's like going on a plane and joking about a bomb. You don't do it. It's not funny. There's no joking. I get you think it's fun. It's not. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how they feel, and that's it. So don't even play. Yeah, it's serious. So they monitor your stuff, and also that costs money. Everything across the board costs money, but it's not going to bother him because he's always going to have people putting money on his books. But you can also only put so much money on someone's books. So let's say I want to go to commissary. I can only borrow buy, and it depends on which institution you go to. They're all different. So people that are watching this, some guys will be like, that's not true. You can spend $420 a month. Okay, everyone's different. So it's like you could spend, let's say, $75 a week. So you can go to commissary once a week. You can spend, let's say, 75. It might be $100, 75 or 85 or whatever the commissary allows you to spend. But within the month, you can only spend up to, let's say, $375 or $410, whatever it comes to. And that's it. So if you're thinking, oh, well, I can buy lots of stuff and no, you can't. If you're thinking, oh, I can talk on the phone all day long. No, you can't. And that 15-minute phone call, by the way, after you make it and you hang up, you don't get to make another call for an hour, which really gives you just enough time to get back in line.
Oh, God.
You gotta wait.
Oh, my God.
Or people make calls, you're back in line, you make a few phone calls, or you make up your phone call, you might as well start over again. And
nightmare.
oh, it's rough. I mean, and there's no, even the email, there's no spell check.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm a horrendous speller. It's horrible. So, I need spell check. He's never been talked to the way he's being talked to right now.
Do you mean by other inmates or do you mean by the guards?
Oh, no, just the staff, the guard. Yeah. The guards are talking to you but some of them will probably treat him kind of like a celebrity. They'll probably be a little bit polite, but other ones will just treat him like he's a dog. Some inmates will be kind of, they'll feel bad for him. And some of them are probably looking up to him for all the wrong reasons.
Quick pause, but I wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, Aura. Have you ever Googled your name or email and been shocked to see your personal information available to anyone searching? There are companies called data brokers that collect and sell your information to spammers, hackers, scammers, or anyone who may want to target you. Your name, home address, health records, relatives, what you buy, it's all out there for anyone to find and buy. Your information floating around the web can put you at risk, especially during tax season when scammers are known to file fraudulent claims with readily available personal information. Last year, the IRS flagged 2.4 million tax returns with refunds totaling $13.8 billion for possible identity theft, which is one of the many reasons why I've been a longtime user of Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura monitors the web 24/7 to see which data brokers are selling my information and then automatically submits requests on my behalf to remove me from these lists. Cleaning up my information not only reduces the amount of spam I get, but protects me from hackers who could use this type of information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. With Aura, you also get credit monitoring, antivirus software, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft monitoring, insurance, and more, all in a single app at one affordable price. You might already have one or even a few of these tools, but not having all of them is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Protect yourself and don't get scammed this tax season. Go to aura.com/Tiffany to start your 2-week free trial, also linked down below in the description box. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video.
He's not going to enjoy a medium security prison. It's like a real prison.
So what would the difference be? I mean, the basic difference for someone who doesn't know too much about the different sorts of prisons.
It looks like a real prison. Like there's 2 tiers, when you walk into the unit and there's that balcony thing that goes all the way around, and, you have a 2-man cell. Some of them are 3-man cells. Ooh. And by the way, most of these are cells that were designed for one person. And so then halfway through construction in Coleman, the facility I was in, they decided, oh, you know what? 2-man. By the time they were finished with it, they started making 3-man cells.
Oh my God.
You got 3 men in a cell designed for one. It's horrible. You're in the bunk bed, like it's a 3-man bunk bed. It's like you're sleeping in a submarine. And there's a door, they close the door, bam, they can feed you through the door. There's a toilet and a sink. So you're going to the bathroom in front of other guys. There's no divider. Oh, it's horrible.
Do you have any privacy? How about the showers? Any privacy?
You have a little bit. You have a little door you can close. Like there's a little door. You can see like probably from your knees down and probably from your shoulders up. And that's at the medium. And the medium's a much tougher place. That's where you have guys that they do home invasions. These are guys that these are serious guys. They've done bank robberies. They've kidnapped people. They're big time drug dealers. They've harmed people. Like there are people there that have life sentences. They've murdered people. Your more violent criminals are not going to probably get to a low. Some of them do. So if you got 30 years and you've done 10 years in a pen and 10 years in a medium and you've got 10 more years left or so, you'll probably go to a low as long as you haven't been any problems. Guys get stabbed in the rec yard. Guys get hit with locks. There's fights. Like I've never seen so many fights. But if you're respectful and you don't run up bills, you don't borrow from anybody, you're respectful to everybody, and you keep your head down, you get a job, he probably could not have any problems. Now, the problem with him is they're still looking at him like he's filthy rich. Most likely what happens is somebody approaches him and says, look, if you start putting money on my books, me and one or two other guys' books, whatever, and it won't be a lot. It'd be $100 or something, $100, $200. But of course, it's Sam Bankman-Fried, so probably $300. Let's say $200, $300 a month on one or two guys' books, and nobody will ever bother him.
Oh, that seems like a fair trade.
It does seem fair.
Because, he's like he's like the nerdiest guy I've ever met. He's not intimidating. He's not aggressive or whatever. So I'm just like, I don't know how he's going to do in prison in a medium, or I don't know what's above a medium. Pen? Is
a pen? Yeah. Oh, he can't go to a pen. He can't go to a pen. It would be devastating for him to go to. Listen, even a medium, like he luckily, he probably, I'm sure he doesn't realize this, but being locked up before he goes to a prison, he's right now getting a lot of schooling on how to behave.
Okay.
What to talk about, what not to talk about. They'll actually, a lot of guys will respect him because, they'll think he's, it's a scam, and wow, what an amazing scam. You're so smart. They'll have super respect for him in that way. And then some guys will respect him too, because he went to trial. He didn't plead guilty. He didn't go in and he didn't testify against people. Guys will respect that. But for the most part, how can I put this? On a scale from 1 to 10 of masculinity, out here in the real world, I'm probably a 4 or 5. I'm not the most masculine guy. 5'6". I don't play sports. I don't hunt and fish. I couldn't talk to you about sports. I don't, that's just not, I'm not that guy, right? In prison, I'm a 1, maybe. That's if I throw some bass in my voice. Like, what's up, man? What's up? How you doing? Like it's like I'm still a 1. I'm a little tiny, I'm a soft white guy. He's not going to do it. Like, guys are going to be coming up to him.
Sam is a 1 in the real world.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's bad. Like, there are going to be guys asking him, hey man, come, let me talk to you in my cell. Now, luckily I was, I already understood. Like, guys was, hey man, let me talk to you in my cell for a minute. I immediately said, why? Well, I just want to talk to you real quick. Why? Let's talk out here. Oh, well, you think something's going to happen? If I don't go in your cell, I don't have to find out, bro. What's up? What do you need?
Oh,
what are we doing? And then they realize, he's a little more savvy. I can't get him right. No, I can't. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying it would be.
I don't think Sam is very savvy, and I don't think he would talk back to people in a way that would be maybe respectable. I feel like he's quite timid, and he's not going to do so well.
Most likely what he'll do is he'll teach like GED, or he'll teach a crypto course or something. And although that's comical, my charges, bank fraud, and it's all related to real estate fraud. I taught the real estate course in prison for 10 years.
Wow.
In the medium and the camp.
So do you actually get money that you get to keep if you do one of these jobs, or is it more just like a hobby? Does it go towards your good time or whatever? What is?
So when I did that, okay, so if you teach, let's say GED, you actually get paid. And now it depends on which grade you are. They have like a grade 1, 2, and 3. If you're grade 1, you make probably $120, $130 a month. If you're a grade 2, you make about $70. If you're a grade 3, you make about $20.
Wow.
And I think I was a grade 1, and eventually I was a grade 2, but only for like a month or so. As far as the real estate course was concerned, which he could teach something like a business course, even though clearly he's not good at it. A business course or a crypto course that you're doing for free, but it's programming, right? Like, if you take the course, you're programming, or if you're teaching it, you're programming. And now, wasn't like this when I was there, but now they actually give you time off of your sentence. So he can earn time off his sentence for that sort of thing, that's why he'll desperately be doing that.
That's good. I hope he does that.
He will. Listen, his biggest problem is he has the same basic problem. Well, I guess I had a better mindset, but still I had a horrible mindset when I went in, which was, initially, for me, it was arrogance and just narcissism. And I was just a complete jerk and thought I was so smart and so clever. And even though I realized what I'd done was wrong, I didn't want to, admit that it hurt anybody or what was a big deal. I just kind of shrugged it off, and you're making a bigger deal about this than it really is. And then once you get in there and if you really start thinking about it and you start realizing, it took me a couple years to start to realize, like, no, I should be here. This is where I'm supposed to be. Like, they didn't make a mistake. Like, I don't think they should have given me that much time, but I definitely should have come here. Like, I have some issues. Like, and so my fear with him is that, he's gone to trial. And this happens with a lot of guys that go to trial that are clearly guilty. They go to trial, they go to prison, they complain the whole time they're there. They get out and they still feel like they shouldn't have gone to prison. And then they typically get in trouble again, or they're just miserable. And that seems like, and I don't know him, but like, you have to own up to, I fucked up. I mean, when he was at trial and he took the stand, did he ever admit, like, this was a major mistake? Did he ever say he thought he never said, like, hey, I don't even know how to say it. Like, it's fraud. Like, you're lying about things. God, he doesn't seem to be a rule follower. I was a very good rule follower when I was locked up. I was just terrified. So he might be able to get a cell phone. Like, he could probably listen if he works it and you have a little bit of money and people that are willing to kind of move things around for you. I don't know. I can't imagine that he could tell his mom, I need you to put money on this guy's books. His mom would be like, nah, you're going to get me thrown in prison. Like, who's going to help him with those things?
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I don't know if he could tell his parents that. That would be bad.
Yeah, think about it. Think about his aren't they like ethics professors or something? I mean,
they are. They're law professors. Yeah, and his mom wrote about ethics.
Putting something on someone's books. No, you can't tell your mom. She's not going to help you out.
Oh God.
He's going to have some problem. And then does he still have like friends and buddies or?
That's the thing. I mean, he said that his closest friends were the people he worked with, and his closest friends were the star witnesses. So I don't think they're so close anymore. When I was visiting him throughout house arrest, he said he didn't really have any consistent visitors other than Michael Lewis, who is the author of the book about him, Going Infinite. Do you think he'll actually get beat up, or is actual like prison rape? Is that a real fear?
In federal prison, I think if it was a pin, it's possible. I mean, that's possible. Really, be honest, it's probably possible in a medium too. If you're smart, then you don't get yourself in that situation. Yeah. Let me put it like this, and this sounds cruel, but if you get beat up or stabbed in prison, you probably had it coming. So, it's pretty easy. Okay. You be respectful to everyone. You don't gamble. You do not run up bills. And, you really should be okay. Like
Sam likes gambling.
That's a problem.
That's not good.
That will get you in a lot of trouble. And saying these little snide comments that he's said, to people, like, you get comfortable in there and you make a comment to somebody. Well, there's a lot of these guys are bipolar. You don't know what's going to set them off. You might say something to them, they walk off, and 45 minutes later, they've built it up in their mind. Next thing you know, they come in your cell and they just attack you. And as far as rape is concerned, so it's typically what would happen. First of all, there's homosexuals in prison.
Yeah.
So that's not really, it's not like it's a necessity, right? Like it's got, like they'll find a gay guy that they just stick with, and they seduce him, or they pay him, they'll give him commissary, whatever. There are probably some guys that they have a name for them, right? Like they're called like booty bandits.
Oh my God.
It's horrible. And those guys enjoy pressuring someone. So they'll kind of intimidate you to the point. Then that's what they'll do. They'll intimidate someone. And that's probably, remember I told you the guy that told me like, hey, why don't you come in my cell for a second? Mm-hmm. That's probably what was going to happen. Because there were two guys that were friends of his that were standing beside his cell. So I know when I walked in there, they were going to walk in and close the door. And now I'm in a cell with three guys. And so, at that point, they get close to you. Maybe they pull out a knife. They tell you, you want to make it out of here, and they pressure you, like scare you. That seems like that's possible. Once again, it's probably a medium. Maybe he gets 25 years, but he's been locked up for a while. He may or may not go to a medium for a year. He'll keep his head down. He'll teach GED. Maybe he works in the kitchen. You know, he'll be at a low, and he won't have really any problems at the low. They'll be super excited to have him at the low.
Okay, that's good for him. He'll be a celebrity. Exciting. So what do people do to pass the time? Like, what kind of like, I don't know, do you watch movies? I don't know what people do in prison.
Yeah, they have multiple TVs, because the TVs are like babysitters, you know, like they can threaten to take them away from you, and everybody's like, no, you know, because you don't have, like, it's not like in California, like I think in California, like some prisons, like you can have your own little TV in your cell. It's not like that. You know, there's a big TV room, and they'll have like 3 or 4 TVs, and everybody has earphones. And then there's a couple smaller TV rooms, and they have them broken up. Like the black guys get like 2 or 3 TVs, because the majority of these guys, probably 60-70% are black guys. In a low, in a medium, it's more like 80%. So then you have the Spanish guys have their own TV, and then the white guys have their own TV. And so, you know, and as much as they love the you know, prisons love to say, you know, they do everything in their power to make sure that things are, you know, there's no segregation, right?
Right.
Desegregated. They don't, because the inmates do it themselves. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah. Is Sam going to have to join a gang?
No.
Okay.
No. My wife here, she just snickered.
That man is not going to fit in any gang.
No, you don't want him in the gang. You know,
no one is going to want him in a gang.
Yeah. You don't want to. You don't. What's that saying? I don't want to be a member of any club that would have me as a member. Yes, they don't want him as a member.
Yes.
So what's he gonna do? Maybe he could do their books. So
he could do their books.
Yeah, he's probably, you know, unless he gets something, unless I'm just completely wrong and he gets 75 years, in which case, God, I can't imagine he could go. I can't imagine they could justify sending him to a pen. But even then, they'd put him in protective custody, because listen, it doesn't look good for the warden to allow someone to get hurt, especially someone that high profile.
Yeah,
the warden would be like, I can't. This guy's going to get killed on my watch. I think what they do to pass time is they sometimes they have a movie room where you can go and you can basically sign up to get DVDs. Remember DVD? I don't know. They probably do still have DVDs there. Anyway, and you can watch movies. You know, you get to watch like one movie, maybe 2 movies a week if you schedule it right. You can walk the rec yard. You can work out. You can join a softball game. You can play, you know, all these things that Sam's not going to do.
Yeah, that man does not work out. He barely likes leaving that. He doesn't even like going outside.
Which
might be good for him in jail. Or
it might be.
Maybe.
He can, you know, he's going to have so many. He's going to be going through legal proceedings for forever. I mean, if he's smart, he would get a prison job of some kind, and he would start doing people's legal work or something to pass the time. And it's a way to make money for inmates. Like some inmates just aren't going to do their legal work, but Sam's clearly a sharp guy. It'd take him a couple of years to really know how to file the documents and write up legal work. And what he'd do is he would just crush multiple people's chances of getting any relief at all while he destroys their cases. But he'd learn a lot. Now, granted, you have to do all your time now because he didn't really know what he's doing, but he could learn on your case. You probably didn't have a chance anyway. So, and then he'd charge. Some guys will charge a couple $100. Some guys will charge $3,500. You know, some guys, like I know guys that they'll charge $3,000-$4,000 in prison. That's insane.
Damn.
But they're also
really
some
big
good.
Bucks.
Well, it passes the time.
Yeah.
You know, what I did was I wrote guys' stories, you know, because I was just surrounded by these great stories. So that really helped me, you know, with my time. And he'll if he doesn't figure that out, well, first of all, he'll read the first couple of years, he'll probably read. He'll probably just like read books. He
hates books, but. Are
you serious?
Yeah.
But after a year or two, and once it sinks in, he's going to be there a while, because it probably hasn't. It's probably slowly sinking in now. Yeah. He's still thinking, well, I'm going to get a couple years, and I've already done this much time, and if I do this and I would do that, and in his mind, he's probably still thinking, I can be out of here in a few years.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I always have these guys in the comment section when they talk about all the money that he donated to politicians. they're always saying, oh, well, he donated so much money to politicians, he's not going to get any time. But the truth
I
is,
get a lot of comments like that. No.
they all took off the moment he got indicted. The moment it looked bad for him, stopped answering his calls. He probably donated a bunch of money. He was hoping to get some favorable policies and laws changed that was going to help him continue his scam. It didn't. And then he probably thought, well, it'll still help me with my case. And then his lawyers got involved, and his lawyers were like, oh, Sam, what are you doing?
Not good.
None of that's going to work.
Yeah.
But he probably thought it would. So you have to be a real screw up to lose good time.
Okay.
And even then, the way that you lose it is like they'll take away 10 days, 20 days. Like if you stab somebody, you might get 54 days taken away. Like it's difficult.
He won't stab anyone.
No. So let's assume he's going to be a decent person. He may try and get a cell phone or something, but even then it's the max I think they can give you take away is like 50 days or something. Assuming he's good with the 17 years. So you got 17 years. If he programs, he can get up to, I forget how many days. It's like, it ends up being, it's a chunk of time. I don't want to say 15 days a month. It's like 12 days a month or something. So if he programs, which means every quarter he takes at least one program or he teaches a class. And these are called ACE courses that are called Adult Continuing Education courses. So if he teaches one or takes one, he gets programming. You also get programming if you just have a job. And you can get a job doing anything. You could sweep up the compound. You can work in the kitchen, washing dishes. You can, because let's face it, there's nothing on the compound that is going to work. There's no jobs for someone like him. So maybe he can teach GED or do something silly like work in the rec yard, passing out equipment. But regardless, you get time off. So, but the maximum you can get is something like 12 days or 11 days a month, something along those lines. In 2 or 3 years, you lower your expectations of life. And that sounds horrible, but it's really not. It's not horrible. He'll after 2 or 3 years and his expectations of life have been lowered on what he wants out of life, he will find comfort in having a good conversation, a good book, talking to your mom on the phone, having they've got fried chicken tonight. I love fried chicken. Like even though for the most part the food's not great, but periodically
he's vegan, so he's going to struggle.
That's gonna be out.
It's not gonna go well.
That's gonna be over. No, that you can be vegan, but he's probably gonna realize like I don't
know. Apparently he spent the first few months in jail only eating bread and water, and he lost a lot of weight. He used to be a little bit tubby, and he was really he looked almost gaunt during trial. So
maybe he'll stick with it.
Maybe he'll be rich.
I think after a few years he'll realize I can do this. Like,
That's what most people feel after a few years of prison, or do some people just never come to terms with it?
I mean, obviously there's some people that never come to terms. I knew guys that, and honestly, I knew a guy named Jason Weeks. Jason Weeks, if you said, Jason, how long have you been locked up? He'd say 12,214 days and 11 hours. And he didn't say it like it was funny. He was serious. He was angry. He was bitter. Jason Weeks made his own time really hard, and nobody really wanted to hang out with him. Like, he was extreme. Listen, and super bright guy. I mean, I'm not saying he's not. He was a bright guy that just made his time harder than it needed to be, and was not someone that you wanted to hang out with. Like, I would hang out with him because he was smart, but I'd hang out with him for 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes, I'd be like, "This is why we don't hang out." That's right.
I have friends like that. Yeah.
I'll see you around. And I'd leave. And then 2 weeks later, I'd see him and I go talk to him for 20 minutes. I'd be like, "Go
again." Every time.
You always get me. And I'd leave. So it's just not smart. It's not smart to complain the whole time.
Yeah.
And the big problem too is he's probably going to have 2-3 years of appeals.
Oh.
So that doesn't really help him.
Yeah.
I'm saying mentally, because he's going to keep thinking, I'm going to win.
I could get out.
They're going to come to me. They're going to offer me something. They're going to give me this. They're going to give me that.
He's like an overly optimistic guy. Like, I remember when I was asking him in house arrest, I was like, what do you think your odds are of getting out of this scot-free? And he was like, there were moments where he said, maybe like a little under 50% chance. And I was like, Man, that is so not like you just knowing conviction rate. I'm like, that's just statistically unlikely. Like, even if
No,
I thought you were innocent, which I
don't.
don't, yeah,
Listen,
so I'm just
if
like,
he was innocent, he's got about an 80% chance of being found guilty.
exactly. So
No.
I just feel like Sam during these appeals, I imagine him being overly optimistic and being like, maybe this is the time I'm gonna get out of this. And actually, the same thing happened when he was thrown in MDC. I think his lawyers did up until the date of his trial, like continually try to get him out. And I feel like he probably clung on to that hope of potentially getting out of jail. And I assume it'll be the same in prison. So that's not great for his mental state.
Oh man, he needs to try and he needs to join a softball team and try and get a 2-man cell as soon as possible because he's going to be there a while.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Okay. I know he plays paddleball. Are there any games? The guy is he loves games.
Oh,
Are there games he
are
can
you
play?
serious? Listen, these guys are professional game players. There's everything from Risk to Monopoly. They've got
Oh,
shuffleboard. They have
oh,
volleyball courts. They have racquetball courts. They have
oh.
handball, softball. What else?
That's good.
Soccer. Right?
Okay, he'll
Listen,
have some games to play.
they have a massive rec yard. You have to understand if you keep these guys entertained, we can get less staff. We don't need as
Wow.
many people to watch them to control them. So
Right.
give them
That
soccer
makes
balls, give them
sense.
this, pool tables. Do you want to learn how to do leather craft? Do you want to learn how to paint?
That makes
Plaster.
sense.
Right.
That's good. Okay, that's something for him to do. Okay. But he likes video games. Do they have video games in prison? No?
Well, I mean, here the problem in federal prison, as far as I when I was there, the answer is no. But since I left, like when I got there, they came out with MP3 players,
Oh.
and yeah, my wife just said he could get a cell phone. I said that earlier. I said he'll probably get a cell phone, but which is contraband. He'll get in trouble if he gets it. But so let's say maybe he gets a cell phone, or he could, they have like pads now, right? Like iPads now, but they're not iPads,
Oh.
like you say that, I say that it's not an iPad. But it's their version of an iPad. So
Like
he'll
the
probably
prison gives them these, or do you mean like as contraband he could get his hands on?
no. He can get one like the prison gives it to you.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
but I don't really know necessarily what, like, I think you might be able to watch I know in county jails and stuff they do. And I know they were introducing them into federal prisons, but it depends on what federal prison. I just don't know. And even then, I'm not sure are they going to have games on it? Are they going to have, listen, there were guys in federal prison when I was locked up. Real quick, I ended up going through a private prison when I was being moved, when I first got locked up. And they were housing California inmates in Oklahoma, not Oklahoma, Mississippi, in Mississippi, I forget, but it was a private prison and there was a wing where they had California prisoners. These guys had video games. They're wearing sweatsuits. They're watching TV. Like we would walk by and you can see them. There's a huge window as you're walking by the hall and guys are looking and they're like, this is insane.
It's pretty nice.
Why would you leave? So I don't, but it's pretty strict in federal prison. He's going to have, but like I said, once he realizes, hey, my appeals are out, I'm probably going to be doing all this time. And he'll always be doing some kind of an appeal and he'll always have that kind of hope. But at some point you're like, yeah, I hope it works out, but I'm probably going to do the next 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
He'll probably be in a better frame of mind.
That makes sense.
Which it sucks, but
No, it makes sense. Like it makes sense to not have that like constant hope over your head. But he told me that the main thing he would miss is internet. So I mean, I guess sounds like that's not going to happen for him.
No, I don't. Something would have to change. They'll tell you their policy is to keep you within. Is it 200 miles, 300 miles? Yeah, they try and keep you as close, but let's face it, they can't do that.
Close to family?
But close to where your residence is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or your family. Like, but they can't do that. Like some states have lots of prisons in them. And then some states have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? If you got 5 prisons in one state and 1 in another one, I mean, you can't. And
do they just choose kind of randomly just based on where there's where there's availability?
that it's partly that, and it's partly, are you close to your relatives? They'll probably make an extra effort to keep him close to home. Let's face it, he's not some gangbanger from the projects. He's got a bunch of people on his side rooting for him. That carry, a lot of weight.
So likely around California. That's where his family is.
Yes.
Once he does get sentenced, what is the process from there? Like, they don't immediately just ship into prison, do they? Or like, what's the timeline look like?
So within a week or two, he may end up having to go to some kind of a processing center like Oklahoma City. And so he might be shipped to Oklahoma City and they kind of do a review or something. I mean, the worst case scenario, he's at the prison he's going to be at within 3 or 4 weeks. Maximum.
Didn't know any of these things. This is as much me interviewing you as you interviewing.
Hey, I'm like you're asking me questions. The Oklahoma City prison or holdover, they call it the holdover. It's connected to an airport. So they fly you in on Con Air, and it's a regular plane. It's not like the movie. They fly you in, and the whatever that thing is comes and it hooks up to the plane, and you leave that. You walk through that hallway into the prison, and it's like something out of it's an Orwellian nightmare. It's you're all shackled together, chain, and you're all your arms are at your waist. You got waist chains on. Your legs are shackled. There's a chain going from each inmate, and then you walk in, and then the guards, you stand. There's like probably 5 or 6 guards in a row, and you walk up onto this platform, and then they take the chains off you, and then you immediately go into a room that's covered with metal all the way around the room.
Wow.
So all the way up the walls, it's diamond plated. And you go in this room and you stand there, and you might be in there for 3 or 4 hours. You can't sit down. There's too many. They pack you in. It's absolutely, it's something you've never. It's like being in a movie, but it's obviously it's not. And it's this surreal feeling like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. I mean,
oh my God,
the whole time.
Wild. Oh my God, that's crazy. You have good stories.
Yeah.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, then they give you your room, and you'll be there for whatever, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. And then they're going to send you to a prison. You're going to be put on a couple of buses, and you might just stop at another jail or a holdover for a day. You'll sleep there that night. The next morning, they cuff you up again, put you on a bus for another 5 hours. They do it again. But within a few days, listen, he's never going to have been through anything this horrible in his entire life. But he'll have a new appreciation for, I have a story where I'll tell you, and then we can, I'll let you go.
No worries.
The story is, when I was locked up in the U.S. Marshals hold, basically like a county jail, I was waiting to be sentenced, and I was talking to this guy who just done whatever. I don't know what it was, like 10 or 12 years in federal prison. And I think he still had a few more years to do in the state. And I was just like, man, this is so, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. And he said, I know, Cox, I understand you're freaking out. Listen, he goes, there is going to be a time, and it's going to be a few years from now, but there will be a time. He said, you're going to go to prison, and there will be a time when you will be sitting around. And he, by the way, he was telling me a story that somebody had told him. He said, you will be sitting around and you will be laughing and joking and doing something. And you are going to stop. And there will be a moment when you will realize, like, wow, this is great. These are great guys. I'm having a good time. This is great. What a great moment. And you've had those on the outside. You have those sometimes with your friends, right?
Yeah.
But when you're locked up and you have that moment, he said, you're going to think there's no place I'd rather be. And I went, you're out of your fucking mind, bro. That's never going to happen. Probably 3 years later, I was playing Risk with a bunch of guys, probably 4 or 5 guys. this guy's invading this country. This guy had an agreement not to invade that country. He rolls the dice. He invades it. Y'all can't believe we had an agreement. He's like, yo, bro, what am I supposed to do? I got to take Czechoslovakia, and we're laughing. There are people bringing us sodas. Like they have guys that will walk around and sell sodas, and they're bringing a food, and somebody's like, yeah, give me a Pepsi. Yeah. And it's ice cold, and you're walking and you're laughing. And I remember I was laughing so hard. And I remember looking around at these guys and thinking, this is great. Like, this is great. These are great guys. And it hit me. I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God. Because that guy told me about his moment.
Yeah.
His moment was, they were standing around a burn barrel talking and shooting the shit one day. And he said, I had that moment. He said, and you'll realize it's going to be okay. I can do this.
Yeah.
And it was. And I was at the low security prison at that point. It was probably, I'd been there a year. I'd been locked up 4 or 5 years at that point. And I was like, this is going to be okay. So he'll, if he's lucky, he gets to that point.
Yes.
Because by the time I left, the last 3 or 4 years that I was, getting toward leaving prison, I was honestly genuinely okay. Like I wanted to leave. You want to leave. You still want to live your life on the outside. It's better.
Yeah.
But you're okay.
Wow.
My wife is going, tell her. I can't, I'll choke up. She said, tell her how when you left prison. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so mad at you right now. Okay. So when I left prison, we were driving away, and I remember looking at the prison. Like I'd never seen it from the outside. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at the prison, and, my brother said, man, I'll bet you're glad to, bet you're glad to be leaving that place. Something like along those lines. And I just started crying. And he was like, I know you're glad to be leaving there, but it wasn't that I was leaving. It was that, my best friends were there. And I knew how much I was going to miss them. You have what, it's called, survival guilt.
Yeah.
And I just remember being so upset and sad because I was leaving these guys that I just loved.
Yeah.
And listen, going into prison didn't really feel that way.
Yeah.
About really anybody. Like I had a girlfriend that I was in love with at the time, but by the time I actually went into the prison, that was over.
Yeah.
And there were certainly no friends or anything that I missed.
Yeah.
But he will. Hopefully he has that moment, because God knows this guy's got a lot to figure out in his life, because he is a damaged, like if I'm a damaged soul, he's definitely, at least I was lucky enough to know I should have been in prison, that I really made a series of horrible, horrendous mistakes in my life. And I'd harmed a lot of people.
Yeah.
He hasn't come to that realization. God, I hope he does.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna do some really, really hard time mentally.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm so mad at my wife right now.
No, that was a really good story. I had chills. It was good. I hope that for Sam, and like anyone who's serving that long a sentence, like I hope so.